We are living during a critical time on this earth, and we're witnessing how important our connection is to our bodies and our spirits, our planet, and one another.
And we're recognizing that to stand in our truth means honoring the full spectrum of our emotional human experience.
We're seeking answers in all the stories and medicine that will support us and guide us as we create the safety we need to face our fears and to feel our feels.
And we cannot do this alone. Community, connection, and compassion are at the heart of our collective healing.
I'm Ellen, a breathwork and medicine companion and creator of Trip with Ellen.
And I'm Sam, an integrative energy therapist and creator of Involution Healing. Welcome. Journey with us.
This is Woo New.
Thank you for that grounding, Ellen.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And I would love to invite you and Sam. I'd just like to light a candle, if it's okay, on behalf of our shared time today.
Yes, please.
And honor some candle magic. The candle that I have here on the altar is gold, and it represents both the sun and today, which is Wednesday, associated to the planet Mercury. And so inviting the energies of how we navigate data / energy internally in our systems and externally as we navigate our communities and the collective. I blessed it with eucalyptus. It has a very purifying, cleansing, also expansive energy that those energies are brought into our shared time today. Not just in our systems, but shared out to our community and expanded to the collective, that as we navigate data and energy, we do so from a place of love, compassion, and understanding.
Thank you so much. I literally had gold in my head. As you said gold, I'm like, yes!
So perfect.
So perfect.
Right on. And I'm called to place it in the direction of the west on the medicine wheel. That is honoring the energies of introspection and healing. So
thank you so much for that.
So amazing. I love starting just like this, and in this very intimate and heart gathered is the words that are coming to me, like heart gathered space. And for those of you who are listening, I'll jump right into introductions. We are sitting here today with our dear friend, who I lovingly call TM, but their full name is Tanya Mark Oviedo. They are the founder and alchemist of Vamonos. They are a breathwork and meditation facilitator, an intuitive practitioner, a medicine person, a witch, and also a person in recovery. And we've been talking about wanting to have this conversation for a while now, because the way in which the three of us met together is already a story in itself, and just really speaks to the magic of the universe and how, there's just beautiful souls, beautiful, really gifts of people that are brought into your life, and in these very unexpected ways that you never would think would necessarily turn into the kind of deep and really nourishing, important relationships of your life. And I feel like that's very much our story that we share among the three of us. And so I'd love to, first of all, welcome you, TM. Thank you so much for being here with us.
We're so excited.
Thank you. It's an honor. Seriously, I couldn't think of a better place to be in on a Mercury Dia, and I couldn't think of two other amazing beings that I'd rather be with and be in magic and in community with. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. It's already feeling so nourishing. And so I just know that this next hour is going to be just phenomenal. Amazing. Yeah. So when we were talking prior to this gathering, we were talking a lot about your backstory, TM, and I feel like that might be a really good place to start. It starting kind of where, you know, we're calling this episode lovingly Control+Alt+Delete. And we don't often have the name of the episode before the conversation, but I think in this case, it really does center us here with this theme of Control+Alt+Delete. And yeah, I just want to
the way of the universe.
Yeah, right? Literally. I want to just like pass the mic over to you, TM, to just take us back to where you feel like beginning with the story.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's that's such a, you know, back to the beginning. Oh, wow. You know, I think what feels the most organic, you know, and with the title of Control+Delete is to really go back to around 2010 for me. I was teaching high school at the time as a computer scientist, web design teacher, and lovingly, happily there. And I also had started to begin to get these nudges, hunches, feelings, downloads. There's so many names for that, that perhaps my time as a teacher was, it was time for me to consider disconnecting from that system. And and I was in therapy at the time, you know, all kinds of spiritual practices and tools in place. And I began to slowly entertain those hunches that came to me. And in therapy, I had a final session with the therapist, and they had, you know, I'd shared about like, wow, I'm really thinking about like, I also come from a history of 12-step. So I found the runes of 12-step in 1989. I was 19 years old. So at that time in 2010, 2011, I had been participating consistently in two systems, education and the system of 12-step recovery. And upon leaving that session, the therapist said, you know, this will be our last time together. And, you know, I really want to ask you, like, who are you outside of these systems that you've been participating in for so long? And that was a huge seed to that kind of planted. And it kind of, what it did was it supported those downloads and hunches, and it really sent me on a journey, you know, a journey of like really beginning to look at that. And so, you know, like any other person, I guess in that way it was like very profound to me, but I don't think it was until I randomly accepted an invitation, literally randomly. A friend of mine said, hey, I want to do this bike ride. Bike ride is what they said. I want to make that very clear. And I thought, oh my God, I love riding bikes and I haven't done that in a really long time. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I said yes. And they go, and I said, well, what bike ride is this? And they go, oh, it's the AIDS ride. We're going to ride our bikes from San Francisco to LA.
Whoa. Oh my God. Holy moly.
And
That's so far.
That invitation, I think, also was the universe's way of saying, hey, we need you to get connected to your body again, because this seed that this therapist just planted to you is actually something that you've been thinking about, but we really need you to connect to your body. And that's exactly what happened, was that particular beautiful ride actually provided me an opportunity to connect back to my body, to my breath. And coming out of that ride, the training was about a year long. And having that experience absolutely was one iteration of Control+Delete that I had experienced. And I think coming out of that and having the call to further expand, I had reached out to a shaman that I had been working with also, actually in a different kind of capacity. They had been someone that had done readings for me ever since I was 21 years old. I saw this person twice a year for my natal birthday and for my recovery date, because in 12-step you get a recovery date that's also kind of referred to as like an anniversary, right? And I would see her twice a year for readings. And for whatever reason, she popped up into my head too. And when I reached out to her, she actually laughed and, she's an amazing person and said, I've been waiting years for this call from you to work with you.
Wow.
And we began to work together. And that's where she shared with me about the medicine wheel. I think that's where my first beginning steps of decolonization began, because I do identify as Native American Shoshone through my father's bloodline. And it was through that particular person that it kind of opened up the door for me to start to explore that. Because I was raised to assimilate as a means of enduring and surviving. It was a tool that was passed on to me. And so decolonization has also been a part of me leaving those systems of education and 12-step.
Wow. Yeah.
That's huge. I feel like these systems that you're talking about, especially the education system and having to navigate, it's like, for lack of a better word, the politics within it, the harmful kind of politics within it. I can imagine how that, it's just so interesting to like look back at that origin of when Control+Alt+Delete started almost, and I know that there's probably even moments of that before even leaving the education system. But I feel like seeing who you are now, it's just wild to me. Like, it's just so amazing what happens when you allow that shedding to occur,
Yeah, it's like a full transformation. Like, and it's really beautiful to be able to look back and see how the dots connect in that way, especially with such a profound moment, like, calling your mentor and receiving that response. Like, what an affirmation,
Yeah, I was driving at the time. And I remember just breaking out into tears, honestly, because I felt like such a sense of relief, even my call to education. I came from the video game industry and I was working on a title, and I had an epiphany in the room one day, and I turned to the room and I'm like, y'all, I want to be a teacher. I think I'm going to teach coding. And I'll never forget this. Like, we were testing a title, and so we had dope ass swivel chairs, and all the chairs turned around. All the chairs of that team. There were about 30 to 40 people that I was working on testing a title. They all turned around. It was like synchronized swimming or something. And they were like, you would be a dope fucking teacher. And I took that as a confirmation, and I'm not kidding you. Within 24 hours, I was enrolled in the pre-credentialing program at Cal State Fullerton, which is my alma mater. And the way that I landed at my school district was my advisor at the time received an email, got a hunch that there was a long-term sub available, and she happened to call me back to her office. And I drove back to Cal State Fullerton, and she said, I know that this is going to seem really odd, but I had this email from the school district that's looking for a long-term sub, and I have a feeling that you should go there. And I looked at her and I said, Dr. Davis, I have never taught before ever in my life. And she said, I know this. That's why I asked you to come to my office. And she goes, and I don't do this, but I think that this is just important. I remember driving home that day, and at the time I smoked cigarettes, so I was smoking cigarettes and thinking, what the actual fuck? And I went on, got back. I was staying with my mom at the time, and I shared with her about what happened. And I said, like, I think I'm gonna go. And I went to the interview. I was asked to come back the next day to actually teach a lesson of my choice into a technology class. And that same day I was offered that position, and 20 years later, it wasn't until 2020 that I left.
Wow.
So
let's jump to 2020, or maybe even a little bit before then, because the
Sure.
three of us ended up meeting in 2019, I believe. And it was, or sorry, no, early 2020. It was, I want to say like January or February when this event called Flow happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a full day
Oh
kind of
my gosh.
retreat.
I literally forgot about it until you just said it again. It's like this moment in time is like such a dream, you know? It's like I know it was there.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember, TM, you were part of this. I want to say there's like maybe 25 people that were in attendance that day, maybe a little
Mm-hmm.
bit less, and you were one of them. And, I don't even know if we were necessarily introduced at that time, but we were both there. And again, this is like one of those like little moments in time that, the universe brings you into this group of people, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know who is necessarily going to stay in your life. And in my from my perspective at that time, like I only knew Sam and maybe a small handful of the other people who were present, and I just figured those are the people I'm going to continue to continue friendships with. Like it just never really occurred to me that I would meet anybody there. And to be honest, we met, but we didn't meet. It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. We met and
It
we
was
didn't
like
meet. That's
the
actually the
universe
truth.
connected our energies so that
yeah.
our paths would connect again, but we didn't actually like fully interact.
Right, right. And it was only until like it was later after the lockdown happened when TM started to come to some of the breathwork online sessions, as well as the moon circle sessions, that through conversation we connected the dots and realized like, holy shit, we were actually at the same event and had mutual friends in common.
Yeah. To get
So,
to there, right? So we had flow happen, right? And
mhm,
then you had asked me, like, so here I was in this journey of education. I had actually started to consult for NC State. So I was looking at other things to do, right?
mhm,
To
Mm.
leave. And then my body in
mhm,
2019 started bleeding and wouldn't stop.
mhm,
And so I ended up having a hysterectomy at right around the fall time of 2019. And that took me out of the classroom, to recover.
mhm,
And I was always that person. I had gone through a few surgeries during my time in the educational system, big ones. I broke my back. I have a fused neck. My gallbladder died. There's a lot of,
wow.
of those kinds of situations, experiences that I had, right? And this one, I felt, like I was always about, like, I want to get back. I want to get back to the community, meaning the classroom, to those magical beings, because it was always about being there for the beings, right? And
Mhm,
for
Mm.
those young beings. And so I, shared with my doctor, it's really important that I get back, as soon as possible. And I returned in January of 2020, and I wasn't 100%, but I did feel well enough to be there, right?
mhm,
And to provide guidance. And then that shifted. I started to feel differently physically and mentally and emotionally. And it was actually pretty scary because I was like, whoa, what's happening? My
Wow.
doctor had shared that, a hysterectomy can involve a really big reset of our bodies, right?
mhm,
And I believe that that reset started to happen, right? And that was what she had talked about. And then I was driving to work on February 12th of 2020, and I was sobbing, tears, huge tears. And I was like, what's happening? Like, literally, that was my car, was where I kicked off my meditation daily. And then I would carry it into my classroom, right? And something felt really off. I did not feel like myself. My body felt completely different. And when I arrived onto campus and parked that day, my intuition told me, I'm never going to return here.
wow.
Mm.
And I walked into my classroom, and literally my mind went blank. It was as if I didn't know where I was. Like, I knew where I was, but
Mm.
yet I could not remember anything about technology, coding, anything. And I reached out to my colleague next door and I said, hey, can you cover me? I'm not going to go to the staff meeting. I need to recharge here. And he saw my face and he was like, are you okay? It was T at the time, not TM. And I said, no, I'm not. So go to the staff meeting and come back and check on me in a sec. And when he returned back, by that time, I had already been able to identify that I needed to leave because as an educator, I feel very passionately about being 100% present. And I did not feel that I was fulfilling that based on what was happening in my system. And my concern was the kids, like meaning that it's a responsibility to hold space in that way. And I did not feel that my system was equipped in that moment to do that. So I asked to leave. And I got in my car knowing that I wasn't ever going to come back. And I called my doctor. They set up an appointment for me to go meet them the next morning. And that was my last day there on campus. And 30 days later, our collective went into a lockdown.
Wow.
Can I ask you, I know there was so much that was happening to you physically. There were so many physical things happening to your body at that time. I'm curious what was happening in the spiritual space. Like, where was your spirit at that moment?
Wow, thank you for asking. I feel like thank you for asking that. I feel like I was doing double time, to be honest. I felt like, I have a couple of friends that refer to me as I ground and clear 25 hours a day. Like, I'm very mindful of energy, you know what I mean? And just take that iteration of that and multiply it times 100. Because while I felt like I wasn't okay, it was very easy for me to tap into my magic, right? And like, meaning that was a very big sense of grounding for me because everything felt chaotic. So that was happening in my professional circle. And then in my personal circle, I had chosen to be involved in a marital way with a connection that was also completely disrupting.
So many deaths were happening at the same time.
It's like the universe, when it steps in, there's no mistaking.
I also want to take responsibility that I accepted the invitation. I accepted the invitation when my therapist asked me that question. I accepted the invitation when my, reader then became shaman, asked me that question. I accepted the invitation when I was asked to ride my bike from San Francisco to LA. I have been accepting and calling this in a low and slow way. And I did. I accepted those invitations of those things to be removed because I do believe that part of my Control+Alt+Delete was in order for me to figure out who I was outside of those systems, I also had to be removed from all of them, including my family.
I want to ask what was going on also emotionally, because what I'm getting a picture of is literally everything in your life, everything that provided security, stability, knowingness was literally being ripped out. Even in your hysterectomy. Do you know what I mean? Like, even your hysterectomy.
My system, one of the most potent things we have, right? Those with have reproductive systems in that way, right? Like at the healer at the time, it told me, it's like just because your system is being removed from the ability to physically create, it's actually a very potent gift that you're being given because now you can learn how to work with that medicine internally, right? And that it's actually a very potent medicine. At the time I didn't understand what she was saying at all because emotionally, to be honest with y'all, those removals, what it did was it activated abandonment galore because abandonment used to be a driver for me in all of the areas of my life. And so all of those little mini iterations and invitations were actually very activating to abandonment. And I was scared,
Yeah.
scared in a way that, like, oh my gosh, like what? I'm literally here with myself and Stanley and Pluto, my two dogs at the time. Stanley has since also transitioned. That, it was really putting me in a position of like, okay, if you really want to know what life is like and who you are outside of these systems, this is the one big, big, big thing that we get to look at. And here I was on my own here doing things like sweeping, sweeping, cleaning, because my shamans and elders, that's the type of practice that we come from, is that it's not necessarily connecting to focusing on what's happening all the time as much as getting into a practice of how do we continue to support the removal of this, because it's going to be a process. So I think I was also asked at the same time that all of this shit was beautiful things were happening and things were being removed. I was also being invited to up my practice and level up. So then then another elder came into my life that I still work with today, who is an astrologer, and she is who I worked with tarot and astrology with. So it was like for everything that was removed, there was also this introduction of beautiful magic.
Wow.
Sorry, Al.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna thank you, TM, for naming and acknowledging like how challenging those transitions can be and how scary they can be, because all of us can, especially anyone who has started this journey, like understands kind of what this feels like in their own iteration of their individual experience, but it doesn't make it easier, even when you call them these changes in and you ask for it. It is a difficult process, and it requires allowing yourself to really grieve in a lot of ways. And to learn how to let go and it can be very abrupt. So thank you for acknowledging that, because I talk to so many people who are on the brink of this or like in the middle of going through this, and it's like everything when you look back is so worth it, but when you're in it, it's so hard.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It feels like sometimes incredibly like I couldn't breathe, or it felt like, and that's what's interesting, because that's actually what brought me to you all, right? Was that I had been practicing by myself. All of the wonderful elders that had said, let's work with this, let's study animal medicine. And by the way, I do believe that all the shamans and elders that came into my life was also something I called in, because I was raised to assimilate. Part of my Control+Alt+Delete has been getting to know myself as an Indigenous person of color. And I have absolutely been given the gift of doing that through magic, through tarot, candle magic, energy work. Those are all ways that I get to honor where I come from and who I am. So while all of those things were happening, I had these elders saying, we would like you to come to fire ceremonies 6 a.m. every day virtually. We would like you to, here is these animal cards. We're going to sit every week and we're going to read the stories, and here's some writing to do. And so literally there was so much magic homework, if you will, that like, even though my body and my spirit and my emotions didn't feel like doing it, I had come from 12-step. And in 12-step, what I learned was consistency. So I still practice those things, even though my system was like, really, honestly, it was demolished. It was going through a complete reset. So I felt scared and lonely and hurt and sad and grieved, all of those things. And at the same time was continuing to expand and develop my practice. And I had no idea the importance of those two things happening at the same time, just how important they were, because magic carried me. That was, I believe, source and my ancestors and spirit saying, we got you. Just trust us.
I want to just like reflect this back to you. Like, it's so interesting to me that, you know, so many of us go through this dark night of the soul, and your dark night of the soul is one of the darkest nights I've ever heard, you know, because of how much was happening all at once. It was like somatically, like in your body, in your marriage, and everything, like everything was being ripped apart, like ripped to shreds, you know, like literally right in front of you. And I feel like what I'm hearing and what's coming through as you're talking is like all of the masks, all of the ways that you had assimilated before were literally just in one fell swoop almost. It feels like completely being like ripped off of you and discarded so that that really tender, fleshy, complete, like the baby, like the baby true TM was able to kind of emerge with the guidance of all of these teachers and shaman and medicine people and elders that, you know, but what you were saying with the fact that the magic is really what held you. I keep on, I forget who I heard this from, but it's been in my like, it's just been in my field over the last couple of weeks, where what this teacher was saying was that there's so much wounding in humans, right, across the world. Like there's just so much wounding that if you're turning to just humans to help you to figure out your way through or to heal or to, you know, and not turning to source, not turning to nature, not turning to the animals, these beautiful beings that don't have that kind of wounding, you know, like I'm not talking about animals in captivity or trees in a garden, you know, that have been planted, you know, I'm talking about in the wild, like the wilderness. Those are the sources where we find true healing. And we almost need to go directly to the source, directly to the magic, you know. And it's not to say that humans don't play a role in that, you know, or they don't guide you into those types of very necessary relationships. But I feel like what I'm hearing from you is that through this entire very, very, what can be very traumatic, right? A complete upheaval of your life and your body and every aspect of your identity. It's the magic that held you. It's source that held you. It's these things that are outside of our human, our humanness that allowed you to get to where you are now.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge plant medicine because I do identify as being a person being in recovery, that I was also called as a part of my healing and exploration of who I am and where I come from to explore plant medicine. And the journey around that and the way in which I did that was very beautiful because I worked with my doctors, my therapist, my elder / sponsor at the time. And I was able to actually be very transparent and say, these are things that I'm called to, and I'm called to these with intention. And I did not want to disrespect the principles of 12 step. So that was also, and in addition to other things that I experienced in those rooms, a reason for disconnecting from that system. So it opened up the door for me to work with plant medicines in a very beautiful way, which also contributed to some very deep healing. And so in that, working with those medicines, working with healers that, you know, hold those medicines in the highest sacred reverence, teaching me, showing me my way home. I was by myself, and this is legit. I was feeling very lonely and whiny. And I was in the desert for a ceremony. And that ceremony was going to be followed by 7 days of me being by myself in the desert. And before that was in a couple of years ago now, I called my elder and I was like, well, I've just been doing this all by myself. Like, can't I have community? And Tata at the time said, well, I don't know. Why don't you ask for it? Why don't you sit and ask for it? And that's how I found you all, because I did go into meditation. And at the time, spirit worked through IG, Instagram. And there was a post that said, breathe, breath, circle. And then that's how I landed with y'all. I signed up because I was like, good God, there's people out there that are doing the same things that I'm doing. Like, and I'm super grateful that Tata nudged me that way. She didn't tell me where to go. She said, sit with source and ask where to go. And I picked up my practice and I did just that. And that's how I landed with y'all.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for asking, you know, on behalf of all of us, you know, like, thank you for asking, because I feel like that's where, you know, when we get our minds blown in the wonder and awe of like, whoa, how did you, like, we were in the same place and then we found it, like, what? Like, these kinds of stories, you know, they really shouldn't be as mind-blowing as they are, because it's like, this is how the universe works, you know? If you ask and if it's in alignment, it comes through, and in such a, you know, like, very easeful kind of way, except we're so conditioned to believe that we have to, like, fight tooth and nail to make shit happen, you know?
Yeah.
And that it's like this miracle.
It took me months to even speak up to you all, because I was like, something feels oddly familiar here. And it took a few circles. Like, I think then y'all started Moon Circle 2, right? So there I was. And it wasn't a moon circle, actually a very deep session, Ellen, because you have that beautiful magic of, and Sam, of providing containers where, you know, folks can really drop in. I actually got taken back to flow in session, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have met them. And that was, you know, one of my excited moments, where after circle, I was like, do y'all want to chat?
I remember those, like, invitations, and I was like, okay, I guess. You know?
And then I was like, hey, we've all met before, and I think we met here. And that was, you know, in itself, like, just, mind-blowing, heart-blowing, like, because I was like, wait, what? And it, I remember, all became familiar, like, in a very sweet way.
Yeah, I remember after that conversation, just talking to Ellen, being like, God, I knew they looked so familiar. Like, there was something so familiar about them. And I was like, I could not put my finger on it. And then that came through, which is so beautiful. But I also just want to, like, momentarily jump back and really acknowledge that what you were talking about in this experience of, like, having this mentor who sent you back to source to ask for community and what you were longing for, and, like, what a potent decision that is, not only to answer the call, but also to be so in alignment with your own practice that when you need an answer or want to call something in, you have the tools to do that. And I think it's so important. I mean, this is coming up all over the place right now, especially with, you know, other space holders and healers, where it's like, this is the work that matters. And this is why it matters. Like, this is a perfect example of why it matters, because it's so beautiful what happens when you can do that and when you're aligned and you have those tools.
Well, so much of it I'm learning right now is just it. A lot of it has to do with just being open to receiving it, you know? And for me, that's what I'm currently working through. It's just even, like, sending the prayers out, asking for help, sending gratitude out for the assistance and the guidance, but really, truly, like, embodying and knowing and owning the fact that I don't have to do this by myself. You know?
Yes. Yeah, you know,
go ahead. Yeah.
Coming out of 30 plus years of 12-step, like, the idea of community was terrifying to me. I craved it and I wanted it, and I knew that it was essential to my journey, but I also was very terrified, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, and so I really appreciate how it landed for me, very low and slow. right?
Yeah.
So it didn't happen in a way, it happened where I was given just enough little nuggets of like, oh, yes, like, okay, I can land here, and I'll be here. And consistency is, again, I am super thankful to all of the elders in 12 step that really, because consistency is practice. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's about
Yeah.
practice. And so I'm very grateful for those folks because I feel like that is a medicine that comes from that, and so I was able to like show up, and start showing up to the spaces and exploring spaces because I didn't feel aligned in all spaces. So that's where I got to use discernment and say, ooh, okay, I checked it out. This one doesn't necessarily resonate, but then I felt very liberated to go and explore other things. And that I think is also a very important part of, decolonization, is that we do have the liberation to go and explore and be in wonderment about what magic is and what we're called to. And that there isn't like, it's not just a one size fits all gig.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit, because I love where this conversation is going. You mentioned discernment, and that's something that I feel like has been it's been coming up over the last couple of years, especially as even the idea of like spiritual healing and spiritual health is starting to come up in the zeitgeist and much more present in the collective too. So the discernment piece is so imperative in terms of like finding your tribe, finding the people that you really resonate with, that you want to be in community with, as well as finding teachers and practitioners and facilitators and healers who are doing the work themselves to hold their magic and their gifts and use them in the most for the highest good of everyone, including
with
themselves, right? With reverence. And so I know you had mentioned that part of what you feel called to offer also is to help those who perhaps have gone down a road. And I never like to think of it as like it was unintentional. I actually believe that when you work with a teacher that may not necessarily completely align to your values, that is meant to be too, right? You're meant to receive something, even if harm was perpetrated in those spaces.
There's a lot of clarity in that.
I really do believe that any answer to a call with a teacher is an invitation. And it's an invitation actually for all the people involved, the teacher included, because what we're talking about is connection. And we're talking about, like in connection, I do believe that we are activated both in trauma too, as we cultivate connection. And I think that for me, in my experiences around teachers, that listen, I was called to work with a teacher for a certain period of time. And then there was also a period of time where, as I continued to grow and expand, there were things that just didn't align, meaning that, and that's not it's not a judgment. It's just what happens, I think, as a part of decolonization and a part of growing, is that the gift of discernment comes in. My auntie, who I still work with, had part of my daily prayers is this mantra of, I live, love, connect, and facilitate with folks and organizations that are 100% aligned with my being. That's a very big declaration and a very potent medicine. And guess what? The responsibility of that is on me to walk my talk. So as I come into community with other people, there may be times where things don't feel aligned. And that is where discernment is important. And it's also why it's important to have community, because I do believe that it's important to have spaces where we can talk about these experiences, because listen, we live in a collective where there is still misalignment going on. There are still those things happening. And as we grow and expand and learn to discern, it's really important that we feel liberated and secure in saying something feels off and I need to be able to share about it. And it's not about judgment. It's about living, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
it's navigating. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, what's coming up for me as you're saying these words is that, we're all individually on our own healing paths, right? And by practice, by consistency, by the things, the communities that we allow ourselves to be in or accept the invitation into, with the teachers that we choose to be our mentors, and whether it's intentional or not even intentional, I think we are learning who we are every step of the way. We are shedding more and more armor and mask and things that we had put on before. We're still dealing with wounds that we carry, and we'll be working with these wounds until the day we, take our last breath. And like, healing doesn't necessarily remove these wounds, but I think what's happening as we continue this practice, continue this work, continue to like really excavate, to really uncover who we really are, there is shifts that are naturally happening, right?
Yes.
And so your relationship to these teachers, your relationship to these communities is a constant evolution and change and flow.
Yes.
So what feels right to you one day, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years later may not feel right anymore as you continue to do that inner work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And can we just name, I love it because I know both of you are all about this. What's the number one thing behind that? Intention.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Intention. Like,
Yeah.
like me accepting the invitation to understand who I was outside of those systems was a huge invitation. And intention is what drives me today. Magic,
Yeah.
medicine, alignment, those are the things that drive me. And that has to happen inside of my system first.
Right.
Right. And it has to be honored as the evolution. I mean, I would even, just to add to what Ellen was so beautifully saying, is that really this is a process of constant growth.
Right.
And if you're not growing and evolving, then you're not really healing.
Yeah, exactly. You're not honoring, like,
Yeah.
then you become caught in a commitment issue, which is again
Yeah.
like a prison,
Old loops.
Yeah,
it's just another iteration of old programming, right?
Right.
Like, it's old programming, those algorithms that tell us, like, wow, if I find something that works that I'm excited about, then I just have to do that. That's
right.
actually not true.
Right.
It's definitely, it's like great to get you started, but ...
Because it's exactly what you both are saying. Like, living to me is a living, breathing energy that I have a responsibility to my body and system to feed and nourish every day in all the ways, right? Like, and including gratitude for all of this stuff too. Like, it's intention. And living is going to happen every day. I think it's funny, we were just talking before starting this, like, which Control+Alt+Delete do you want to talk about and share about? Because that's honestly the truth, because I do invite that in every day. I do ask that I align with people, places, and every day that are aligned with my being, because that is the way that I want to live every day. And I do accept the responsibility of there being, that's everything. It's practice, it's prayer, it's meditation, it's breath work, it's movement, it's everything. How I take care of my space, how do I tend to the space I'm in? How do I tend to the animal beings that are in my space, the other beings that are in my space? It's all of it, all the time.
Yeah, that Control+Alt+Delete is a necessity of life. The shedding is a necessity of life. It's just another word for the death cycle. Those death portals. We have to go through it, and if we don't allow the death to happen, then we can't be reborn into something new. We can't really step
There's
into
no space for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
I just would like to add that they're turning points and they're invitations. They're opportunities for growth. And there is no right or wrong to which path we go. It's just that they're invitations.
Yeah.
And if we call it in and we're calling in those opportunities for growth, I don't believe that they're designed to be smooth, because if they were,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You wouldn't
how
be
else
healing. Yeah.
how else are we going to have to learn or get the invite to go all the way back? That's another
Right.
thing about plant medicine. Plant medicine, to me, like, it allowed me and continues to open up space for me to go all the way back into other lifetimes, dimensions, intergenerational, ancestral healing, so that when I am clearing the things that no longer removed, I'm not just doing it here. I'm doing it on behalf of my ancestors, the collective, and generations to come, y'all. Because I do believe that when we step into magic in any way, shape, or form, that is what we're doing. We're sending that healing vibration through our system, and we're sending it out to our community and the collective.
Yeah.
100%. And it's not bound by time. It's
Yeah.
7 generations back, 7 generations forward.
There's this, when we were talking yesterday, there's this theme that I feel like that has been really surfacing, that just kind of came together in a download, that it was almost like when you're really doing the work and you're dedicated to your practice and you're spending time in your magic and your healing and you're making space for the scary things, the hard things, the joy and the gratitude and all that comes with it. It's like there's almost like this turning point where it just clicks in a deeper way and you fully understand that everything truly is connected. And you understand it you understand it in your soul, in your heart. And it's like, it's this place that it brings us together with in a different way, where you truly understand that by modeling this practice, by honoring your ancestors and the land and your healing and your gifts and your spiritual support teams, that you are literally changing the world, because everything is so deeply, inextricably intertwined.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's super interesting to me, right? Because even my most recent iteration of Control+Alt+Delete, right? I'm really looking at this as it is a huge opportunity for growth, because what I've gotten from that is that, in looking at my chart and, guided by my elders, is that I'm being called to ask, how am I going to be in groups? Groups to me are two or more are gathered. And that's my truth, is that, it's about responding with magic and modeling, because I do feel that that is a really potent medicine around the systems that we continue to navigate. Because here's the thing, my spidey senses, my intuition is always going to tell me when something is not aligned. And that is an invitation in itself, saying, Tanya Mark, this may not feel like what you ask for every day.
Yeah.
And so it's an invitation for me to explore that. And I do feel like it is asking me at a crossroads, are you going to react or respond? And initially, in this most recent Control+Alt+Delete, I do feel that I listened to my spidey senses and responded. And then, because I care so much about the collective, and because I understand the importance of this work and intention and alignment, when it came to, expressing on a group level, it came out very potently. And it also caused its own activation of trauma. Because when we navigate within the systems that are not 100% aligned, we do have opportunities and invitations to share medicine. And it's the way in which we do that that matters. So when we respond and model, right, that is so potent, versus maybe having some, an exchange of words, because I do feel that that's kind of like fire to fire, right? Like, and I don't believe that that actually lends itself to an opportunity of like healing And I'm really understanding that it is about responding and modeling and guiding from that place, because you can't fuck with that, man. You
Yeah,
can't, you really
exactly.
can't. There's no, that is such a potent medicine, because you're
And
actually walking your talk and like hearing it from that place.
Totally. I think too, something that's really like something that I really loved about like having the honor of witnessing you move through this in the last iteration was that like so quickly the universe was like, okay, this thing happened. You've processed and you've integrated. Now we're going to put you in almost the exact situation again. How are you going to navigate this?
Yeah.
And Tanya Mark was so funny. They turned around and looked at me and they were like, I can't believe this is happening again. It's so fast. And I just remember stopping and looking and being like, are you sure you can't though? Like, pretty sure we knew this was coming. You know?
Oh my God.
It was. And, you know, it all did happen very fast. And I love that we can laugh about it, because I also feel like you got to be able to have levity and laughter. It's such a potent medicine, because shit can happen super fast. And I'm super honored. Heavy. It's heavy. And I'm super honored to say that I've aligned myself with folks like you both, where I can actually come and say, hey, this to be continued. Here's another here's what's happening. And because of that community, cultivated community as a part of my practice, I am open to hearing the medicine that comes from like, yeah, here it is, dude. So how are you going to respond? And it is a huge invitation, you know? And so when it's either medicine from you, Ellen, or Sam, or to all the, you know, beautiful folks that I cultivate connection with, I'm open to receiving it, because I know, you know. So even up to last night, you know, like writing this letter, going into ritual and practice, understanding that I really have a deep understanding of this. I am still a mentor to other people. I am still a practitioner, a facilitator, and moving forward, it's really important that I understand what happened behind the scenes, not from a place of blame, but from a place of understanding, so that as I move forward, I'm not bringing that harm, those types of energies into my medicine and sharing that with others. That's why it's important for me to go back and heal those wounds, because I don't have a desire to bring that stuff into my current space, you know, and practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this discernment that you're talking about, and this intentionality with not wanting to, like, just being very conscious about what energy you're bringing into the next space, for me has really looked a lot like, okay, what opportunities do I choose to step into? And I think for me, what has been really interesting and also I would say challenging to understand is that as a manifesting generator, I get lit up by a lot of shit, like constantly, you know? I want to say yes constantly. And I have to really check myself. And it's not to say like I'm not following my gut or my intuition anymore. It's just that in these moments where I'm so like lit up and like, yes, I totally want to do that. I'm actually holding my horses a little bit. Like I'm kind of like, okay, I'm feeling this and I'm sitting with it. And I'm gonna like just allow.
And when you ask, yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I think that it doesn't take away from the excitement either. Listen, I get super excited about invitations too. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's also very beautiful to say, wow, thank you for that invitation. And I'm going to sit with this. This is a great form of modeling. It's a great, powerful form of modeling to say, thank you so much for this invitation. And I want to sit with it and make sure that it resonates and aligns, and let's connect again and talk about it. That's the type of practitioner that I am and want to continue to be and want to continue to model. That, you know, like that it's okay to do that, because what's happening there is you're actually it's self-care.
Yeah.
It's not
And
taking away from the
integration.
imitation. Yes.
Yes. And because I think there needs to be like, for me, what's coming up a lot, especially in the folks that I've been working with, is like this understanding that there is a difference between mentally processing something and really integrating it into your life, and allowing yourself to go into that space of the void and just receive, and just like create that space where it's like, okay, this is, and this is all stuff we were talking about yesterday, even TM, is like how are you going to be in the in-between, accepting all things as they are, so you can stay in alignment when other things are coming up. And it's like, that's where we figure out where we're meant to go, where the next breadcrumb is.
Listen,
and that so often is the first piece to go.
Yes, I love the work. I really do. I do feel passionate about the introspection that, this journey provides. And I also recognize that, listen, plant medicines in all kinds of ways are very beautiful, beautiful tools to use in this way. I don't want to say use, I want to reframe that and say to be in relation with, right? And to sit with and to cultivate connection with. And that the integration part, like, a little goes a long way. And integration, to me, I know it's like this word that's out there, that's living.
It is living. Yes, thank you.
It's living, and it's saying, okay, I went and was called to this beautiful experience, to intention of like deeper healing or whatever that intention is. And then having that beautiful experience. The living part of that, gosh, that's like really important. It's the in-between. And that's where I feel like it is my opportunity to take the beautiful things that medicine has maybe shined a light on and start to understand how to practice a new tool, or how to actually release a wound that no longer serves me, that's maybe been really fucking embedded and still is showing up. That's integration is living. How are you going to navigate? What tools are you going to use? Are you going to react or respond? I feel like that is the constant invitation. I am convinced.
Integration, it's never ending. That's the thing. It's like, I don't love the way, I would say that the psychedelic community uses the term integration as almost kind of, it feels very much based on the medical model of you have an integration session and then you're done.
Like chapter closed, but it's always to be continued.
It's like, it really is. It's a constant embodiment of the wisdom and the frequencies that came through, gifted to you through this beautiful journey of the plant medicine. It's really not about the journey itself, like whatever your, amazing trip was like, and those, that's its own magic and like, beautiful experience. But the integration is literally, I love the way you put it. It's living. It's the embodiment of all of this stuff. And when is that? It doesn't freaking end in one session. It's like a continual practice, a continual embodiment.
Every day. It's a choice every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes many times a day, to be honest, because like it depends on what's on the calendar.
Totally. Right. But it requires space. And so I love what you guys are talking about with the in-between, the liminal spaces. It requires that space to just be with these frequencies, because if you don't, then you have no idea what the hell you're integrating or what it is that really came through. And so I feel like, this is kind of like my PSA to anybody listening who is like in the medicine space or curious about medicine work or any of that. It's, you need the time, you need the space in between journeys to just be with those frequencies, to just feel through. And like, for me, I give homework assignments to my clients to practice. What does that frequency feel like? Bring it back in, relive it, It's like, that's how you remember. That's how you embody.
Yeah. After our last journey, actually, this exact conversation came up. And, the question was like, how often do you journey? And my response was like, well, There's no way to quantify that for each individual's experience. But what I do know is that if you are really, truly integrating and you're taking the time to sit with these lessons, to sit with these frequencies, then you know how much work it is and how much it's going to shift the way that you navigate through the world. And that takes time, and that takes practice, and that takes making that choice every day. So if you're going back to journey every week, it's like, whoa, man, it's like you wouldn't be going in asking for more that quickly if you were like really sitting with the lessons and doing the work, because it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's so profound what can come through when you offer this space and you honor the medicine.
And we talk about the in-between being the work, like of, the processing and all of that, and like picking up new tools, refining tools, expanding practice. And I also want to add that it's also about fun and joy and pleasure. Like that is such an important part of the algorithm that's really important, because holy shit, like we have to have space for that. And if it's constantly going, listen, I love journeying, I love going deep, you know what I mean? I do, because it's beautiful to me, right? But I also recognize that if I was in constant journey, I don't know, Sam, you said it the other day in the desert, if we were in constant journeying, oh my gosh, there's no space for living there. That means we're constantly being blasted out somewhere else, and then
life is unsustainable.
We're given all of these beautiful new algorithms, or maybe recipe, like special ingredients that we can add to our self-care toolkit. But if we're constantly going back and trying to go deeper and leaving no space for that, I actually feel that then the concern is there is a misalignment there.
There's no embodiment, there's no bringing back and anchoring these frequencies here, which is the whole point anyway.
Right. Why journey if not for that?
Right.
Except to have fun sometimes, if that's the intention.
And as a person in recovery, I identify as a person in recovery, intention and alignment in working with this medicines is, like, to me, even more amplified. Because I know that I come from a bloodline where there is misuse of substances, people, places, and things. So it's really important for me to be aligned and centered and grounded around all of my use with medicines, because that includes oils, plants, what I cook with, like all of those things. And you know what? My mindset, like Sam taught me a lot about this in our most recent, a little goes a long way. It's intention.
Yes.
Like we were talking about essential oils, and like I'm forever changed. Like, even in the diffuser, I was like, one drop is plenty. It's intention. It doesn't have to be 10 drops into the diffuser to, make it stronger. No, it's intention.
Yeah. And not extraction, right? Like,
yes, thank you. That's exactly it.
To bring it also back to this beautiful theme of Control+Alt+Delete, what happens in these journeys is a true Control+Alt+Delete, And so the space required after any death to allow for the grieving, there's always, to me, always grief. Even if you have the most joyous, very childlike, fun kind of journey, there's still a death there. There's still a death of the old way, the old whatever that's being shed. And so to me, I feel like part of the integration and the space, and spaciousness is literally one of the words of 2023 for me. Like, how do I create more space truly for the integration, not just, entheogenic medicines and psychedelic journeys, but the integration of these like life experiences, every circle I get a chance to be a part of, facilitating or receiving, any single, like business decision. How do I integrate that? How do
everything?
All of these
it's like
things.
What you said, embodiment, right? Like they bring us home. That's how I see it. This brought me home. This journey, all of these iterations of Control+Alt+Delete continue to bring me home. And being home now, it's like, okay, how are we going to navigate? because living is going to continue to happen. Like there's going to be opportunities. And listen, the universe is not, it's not like, I think it's really funny sometimes when people are like, yeah, but shit's going down and da da da. Yes, those, it's going to get disruptive because that's growth.
Yeah.
Growth is not designed to be smooth. It's designed to be disruptive, because I do think that it's an iteration of an invitation of like, okay, yeah, there's some stuff that needs to be removed, and that might involve time and space and, you know, silence and all kinds of things. And are you going to provide the space for that? That to me is the in between, right?
Yes. Yes. Birth and death are both messy as fuck. You know?
Thank you. Yeah.
It's like, you don't see a baby coming in all clean and shiny, you know, into this world. Like, it's
like
messy.
Newborns are not cute for real.
You know,
well, and then
like,
if you think about the person that's giving birth, that is not an easy, that is also a very you know, intense experience.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and with that in mind, intense experience, like in these iterations of Control+Alt+Deletes and journeys and ceremonies, it has been so integral to my recovery, to my being a practitioner, to actually be in the in-between. That's a gift of medicine that happened way back when that big Control+Alt+Delete said, we got to get rid of all of the abandonment, forms of abandonment that have been driving. I also need to not be an abandonment algorithm with medicine.
Right,
that it's about honoring the fact that, hey, like there is an in-between space that's really important for me to be in, to understand these algorithms, to have an opportunity to re-alchemize, you know, and come up with some new algorithms to share with my system, and then ultimately share with my communities.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, I mean, obviously, like, we have had so many beautiful conversations shared, like, among the three of us, and we have these beautiful offerings that, you know, we're all kind of co-facilitating with one another. Is there anything that you want to share with the collective right now that's just in your heart that you feel is important to name and to give voice to?
Wow, thank you for asking me that. I can hear my auntie saying, how you gonna be in group, TM? What I would like to share is that I am super honored to be of service to my community as a practitioner, and that I do feel that there are things such as substance misuse and perhaps facilitator abuse and or practitioner abuse that I do feel that I hold a special place and container for folks to process that and to actually go through healing around it. So I'm honored to say that I am available in that capacity to be of service to individuals and to groups. I do feel very passionately that, considering all of the Control+Alt+Deletes that keep happening all the time around us, that our greatest gift is to respond with magic and modeling and guiding from a place of love and compassion and understanding. So I hope that, you know, that is something that, you know, shines a light on that today, and that for any person that is on their journey, that we see you, we hear you, and we support you. And if you are finding that as you're trying to return home, that there are things that may not feel aligned, there are folks like us here that are available to hold space, you know, for that. So I think that would be, you know, and that magic rules, and that I love magic, and that I openly invite any person or being that's called to it to explore it with curiosity and wonderment, you know? Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to close out this conversation. One of probably many that we're going to be having with you. And just wanted to also just share what an honor it is truly to like witness you and know that you exist, and to have been able to know you back even in the early 2020, and to see this evolution, this shedding, this constant Control+Alt+Deleting that's been happening.
Yeah.
It's just brings a smile to my face, because I'm just like in awe, just like
Yeah.
in awe. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I can't echo that enough. Like, awe is the perfect word. I mean, you are so beautifully steadfast and open, and it's just like, it has been such an honor to know you and to get to walk with you. And I'm so honored to get to hold space with you and like continually learn from you. So yeah, thank you for everything.
Well, thank you both. It's an honor to be alongside you both on this journey too. Y'all rock. And I think y'all are badasses with the medicine and magic that you share, not just with yourselves, because I've also got to witness you both. And it's been an honor to witness you both during your iterations of Control+Alt+Delete. And it's an honor to be in community anytime, anywhere with y'all. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for providing a container and space today for us to collectively respond and model for our communities and collective. I feel super honored and grateful, and I love you both very much.
Likewise. With that, what I'd love to do is just close out this circle by inviting both of you to place your hands back on your heart, gently closing your eyes, taking in that beautiful life-giving breath. Feeling that expansion, and just slowly breathing out gratitude. Sending it once again to the beautiful Mother Earth that we are so nourished and taken care of by. Thank you so much for your presence and your grounding, and just allowing us to be in our bodies safely. Sending love to the land of our spirits that are our bodies, our vessels, and just thanking them for all the ways in which they are our life partners, that they speak to us, that they help us to feel and to really like survive and deal with things that may not be so pleasant. And just so grateful for that partnership and for the ever presence of our bodies that are just so wise, so intelligent, and so vocal as well. Thanking the sun once again for that fire, that life-giving energy, that yang that allows us to move and to create all these things, all these wonderful things that we are just so excited and passionate to create. Sending love and gratitude to one another, to our ancestors of our lineage, to the ancestors of the land, to all of these frequencies that we get to dance and move and be still with, honoring all that is here, all that is perfect, all that is divine. And it is so.
Ashe, aho.
We are so excited to announce our first ever medicine retreat, Land is Body is Land. It's taking place May 23rd through 28th in Costa Rica's Playa Azul. It's going to be a sensory celebration of embodiment, where we will spend 5 nights and 6 days giving ourselves permission to slow down, to listen and feel, to taste and smell, and to really dive deeper into our senses, to observe our bodies, to witness our bodies and our relationship to the land. Healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in community and in relationship. And to heal or to become whole again, we must reconnect those disconnected parts of ourselves. So that means reconnecting to the land that is our bodies, really leaning in and learning and listening to the language of frequency and sensation that our bodies speak. And we also must reconnect to the land that sustains our bodies, learning to commune with the spirits of nature and the earth. And so we'll be visiting a biodynamic farm, exploring food, learning about our sacred relationship with food. We'll be journeying through breath work, receiving healing through Reiki and sound, and also journeying with the sacred mushroom. So we hope that you can join us. If you're interested, please fill out our intake form on our website, wearealldaughters.co. Again, our website is wearealldaughters.co. We hope to welcome you into our circle. Music for Wu Nu is composed by Adam Miller.